Good morning, Canada. How are you today? My name is Parmesan. This is Niagara due north, and yesterday was the Carney-Trump meeting. Everybody in the world was watching that, especially if you're a world leader, and it depends on where you're standing, where Mark Carney did. If you're an elbows up voter of Mark Carney, you, for some reason, weren't disappointed from it, but you were ever more violently engaged. If you're me, it was an absolute embarrassment. And then if you were somewhere in between, then you think that Mark Carney survived. And I'm willing to go at least far enough to say he survived. I am going to take us through a deep dive of this meeting because a lot of stuff went through the air that weren't words. Okay? And I want to start off from a point of where we know. Now, you might have seen it. You might have watched other YouTubers explain it. You might have seen it on the CBC. You might have watched the whole thing yourself. Do you remember that Carney is the CPC, CCP cheerleader? Because guess what? United States does. United States knows everything about Mark Carney. Donald Trump knows everything about Mark Carney. You guys know Five Eyes? So there's no way that this right now is estranged. These guys know who each other are on a very, very deep level and a very deep understanding. Let's get into it, folks. All right, guys. Diving in. Share this around. Like, comment, subscribe. People need to see this because we need to approach this from the viewpoint of we know all their dark secrets. We know about Jared Kushner. I don't think that has much to do with this. I think China has everything to do with this.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Mark Carney with us. As you know, just a few days ago, he won a very big election in Canada. And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take full credit. His party was losing by a lot, and he had... Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Mark Carney with us. As you know, just a few days ago, he won a very big election in Canada. And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take full credit. His party was losing by...
First, here's our first one. Okay. So, Mark Carney showed up with, what's his face? I don't know why. I remember everyone was making fun of this. I think his name's Sean McGinty. I'm not going to go full on that. But he brought with him an MP that was like grade D MP for Justin Trudeau. Remember? He brought him. He didn't bring Chrystia Freeland or Stephen Elbow. He didn't bring none of those guys. Elbows up. You didn't bring freaking Gelbo for Gelbo's up, man? And he says that, and Carney just looks over.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Let's watch it again.
To have Prime Minister Mark Carney with us. As you know, just a few days ago, he won a very big election in Canada. And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take full credit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude, that's the only reason you won, man. Are you seriously acting like you would have won this without Trump? That was funny. What did Trump mean by that? Okay. These are very high-level stakes things. And Canada is the highest level. Keir Starmer and Macron meant nothing. They meant nothing. It's Canada and the United States everyone cares about. And he goes, I was the best part of your campaign.
His party was losing by a lot, and he ended up winning. So I really want to congratulate him. It was probably one of the greatest comebacks in the history of politics, maybe even greater than mine. You know. But I want to just congratulate you. That was a great election, actually. We were watching it with interest, and I think Canada chose a very talented person, a very good person, as we spoke before the election quite a few times. And it's an honor to have you at the White House and the Oval Office. And you ran a really great race. I watched the debate. I thought you were excellent, and I think we have a lot of things in common. We have some tough points to go over, and that'll be fine. We're going to also be discussing Ukraine, Russia, the war, because Mark wants it ended as quickly as I do. I think it has to end. I think before then we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets, and I won't tell you on what.
Have you guys heard about this announcement? Later this week, Donald Trump is going to lay out the announcement of all announcements, billions and billions of announcements, okay? The biggest announcement the world has ever seen, on his way to Saudi Arabia. I wonder what he's talking about. Comment down below. What do you think his big announcement's going to be? I think Saudi Arabia is taking in Gazans. That's what I think.
But it's going to, and it's very positive. I'd tell you if it was negative or positive. I can't keep that out. It is really, really positive. And that announcement will be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave. But it'll be one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject.
About a certain subject, a very important subject. There's one thing that Trump said before he, or right away when he got in, his first trip was going to be to Saudi Arabia. If Saudi Arabia can promise to invest $500 billion into USA. And then he went and said, I think I'll make it $1 trillion. I think I'll try to make it $1 trillion. So I think that's could also be what the announcement is. But guys, it's going to be something to do with Gaza and Israel, or the Abraham Accords, or the Saudi Arabia announcement. I honestly, what's hurting Donald Trump the most right now is his tariff debacle is ripping the world to shreds. And he needs to tell the world something good about it, about what's happening. He's been doing it, and it's not catching any press time. So his tariffing the world is working, but no one's portraying it like that. So he could also be making the announcement like that.
Mark, would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge
Here we
of my
go,
seat.
Mark Carney, guys. We all heard this.
But thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president. The focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and securing the world. And I've been elected with my colleagues here, with the help of my colleagues here. I'm going to spread the credit to transform Canada with a similar focus on the economy, securing our borders, again on fentanyl, much greater focus on defense and security, securing the Arctic and developing the Arctic. And the history of Canada and the U.S. is we're stronger when we work together, and there's many opportunities to work together. And I look forward to, addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas of mutual cooperation so we can move forward.
That's great. Very nice. Thank you very much. Very nice.
He has his elbows like this during that one, eh? He's just like, no elbows here, dude. No elbows here. None here. I don't know. It's the art of foreign affairs. There's another word I want to use for that, but I can't think of what it is. But this is the art of foreign affairs, or kissing each other's asses. There was a huge fight when that was, oh man, I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Okay? I guarantee it. J.D. Vance was like a stone during this.
Anybody?
Is USMCA dead?
No, it was actually very effective. and it's still very effective, but people have to follow it. So, that's been a problem. People haven't followed it. But it was a transitional step a little bit. And as you know, it terminates fairly shortly. It gets renegotiated very shortly. But
Next
I thought
year.
it was a very positive step from NAFTA. NAFTA was the worst trade deal in the history of our country, probably in the history of the world. And this was a transitional deal, and we'll see what happens. We're going to be starting to possibly renegotiate that if it's even necessary. I don't know that it's necessary anymore, but it served a very good purpose. And the biggest purpose it served is we got rid of NAFTA. NAFTA was a very unfair deal for the United States. Very, very terrible deal. It should have never been made. It was made many years ago, but it should have never been made.
Canada and the United States. Would you like to see your first trade deal be with Canada?
I would love that. Look, I have a lot of respect for this man, and I watched him come up in a sense through the ranks when he wasn't given much of a chance, and he ran a really great campaign. He did a really great debate. I think that debate was very helpful. I was going to raise my hand.
I'm still rattling my head around what that means. What does that mean, folks? Okay. I'm expecting each of you viewers to leave like 4 different comments down below. What do you mean the debate was good? The debate wasn't good. Is he talking about, he brought up anti-Trump rhetoric during the debate? Because it wasn't good.
I don't know if that's good or bad. I shouldn't say that. That might hurt you. But no, he ran a really great election, I thought. And yeah, something could happen. Something could happen. Yeah, please.
What's the top concession you want out of Canada? The top concession.
Oh, this is stupid.
Concession?
Yes.
Friendship.
But that's not a concession.
No, we're going to be friends with. No, we're going to be friends.
Come on
with
over
Canada.
here, Carney.
Regardless
We're
of
gonna be
anything, we're going to be friends
buddies.
with Canada. Canada is a very special place to me. I know so many people that live in Canada. My parents had relatives that lived in Canada, my mother in particular.
This guy has any
And,
relation
no,
with
I
Canada
love
whatsoever.
Canada.
He probably
I have
hates
a lot
Canada.
of respect for the Canadians. Wayne Gretzky, I mean, how good, the great one.
Just so you guys know, there's no Trump Tower up here.
Good hockey player right here on the Capitals, who I have a lot of. He is a big, tough cookie. He just broke the record, and he's a great guy. And we had the team here, and I got to know a lot of the players. But now Canada is a very special place. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, and Mr. Prime Minister, I'd like to get your response to this too. Mr. President, you have said
He has really, really long answers, eh? It's crazy how
I still
nothing
believe
this
that,
was.
but,
Half an hour of
It
nothing.
takes 2 to tango, right? But no, I do.
Here we are on the
I believe it would.
Here we are in the 51st state stuff. Okay, we watched this. We've all watched it. This is the highlight of the meeting. But what did we miss?
Be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, you get tremendous medical cares and other things. There would be a lot of advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut. And it's also a beautiful, as a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago.
I
like
hate
a
that,
ruler,
man.
just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said, that's the way it was meant to be. But, it's...
Mark my words. We're not going to be alive at this point, but the world will get to a point where America needs to take over Canada. The world will get to that point. I can guarantee it. Guys, what's happening now does not look like there's an end in sight. We thought we were coming back, and now Europe is banning all of their populist parties. You're all heard it. I made a video about it. It's a few days old now. AfD's getting not getting banned in Germany, but it's under surveillance to get banned. Marie Le Pen is banned. The guy in Brazil is banned. There's a whole bunch of people banned from running in an election in a democratic country because they have alternate views. Not cool.
I do feel
I don't see it ending anytime soon.
But we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that.
I think Mark wants to discuss it, but I don't think he's going to.
Tremendously lower taxes, free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But I think it would really be.
He swallowed the pill there. Did you guys see that? He swallowed the pill, man. He swallowed it. And do you know why? Because he's a Chinese mascot. Because he's a Chinese mascot. Sitting in the Oval Office right now. With the highest ups in the world. In the world, folks. President, Vice President, Secretary of State. For the United States. It doesn't get higher than that. Okay? Mark Carney is shaking in his freaking boots, folks.
A wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
Well, if I may, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
Buckingham Palace, by the way, where Canada's owners live.
Of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever. But the opportunity is in the partnership.
And that goes for all you Alberta separatists out there. You're never going to be sovereign. You're always going to be under the thumb of the king and the royal family. And until you get that problem solved, you can think you're not Canadian all you want.
And what we can build together. And we have done that in the past. And part of that, as the president just said, is with respect to our own security. And my government is committed for a step change in our investment in Canadian security and our partnership. And I'll say this as well, that the president has revitalized international security, revitalized NATO, and us playing our full weight in NATO, and that will be part of it.
And they have.
Holy shit. There are so many things that Canada can do to up its percentages. All it takes to, first of all, our military is so weak and pathetic. All we need is 3 submarines to double our military. That's how, our military budget. That is how pathetic our military is. That's how pathetic it is. We only need to invest $20 billion to put it up to our, I don't think that'll put it up to our 2%. I'm not going to go there. But it's nothing. It's such a nothing burger that we have to do, and no one is willing to do it. It is insane. It is insane. Guys, understand that from an American standpoint. Okay, now do the deficits make sense?
I must say, Canada
that's something that's not going to happen, but that's what's up here.
Is stepping up the military participation because Mark knew, they were low, and now they're stepping it up, and that's a very important thing. But never say never. Never say never.
Never say never, folks. Never say never, folks, because we haven't started the war on AI yet, and that might start 15 to 20 years from now. That war might need an economic superpower like United States and Canada to join forces in order to beat China.
You're saying that what would it take to get the tariffs off of Canada?
Well, we're
Nothing.
talking about different things. We want to protect our automobile business.
He needs to decouple
And
from
so does
China.
Mark. But we want to make the automobiles, and we want to, we have a tremendous abundance of energy, more than any country. We have, just in Alaska alone, ANWR has been reopened now. ANWR is probably the largest find anywhere in the world. They say it's larger than Saudi Arabia.
This is a funny thing. This is a funny thing right here. He didn't say that they have the most power in the world, because that's a complete lie. I think United States is 10th. And I think that was also before they found ANWR. ANWR is a big oil
No,
spot.
but it's a lot. But we have tremendous amounts of energy. Other countries don't. We're both lucky in that way. They have energy. We have energy. We have more than we can ever use. And more than we could ever sell, actually, and you have the same thing. So we're two countries that are very lucky. If you look at China, they don't have that. You know, it's a big disadvantage. Other countries, most countries don't have. You know, most countries don't have that. So Canada and us, we have a lot of advantages over other places.
Now, I want maybe the boomers out there to understand Trump, where Trump is coming from, what his priorities are, and why his priorities are there. Notice he's going after Ukraine's natural resources. I'll say rare earth minerals. Russia's rare earth minerals, Canada's rare earth minerals, Japan and Korea's rare earth minerals. He wants all this stuff because we need it for AI in the future. If an AI data center already takes a nuclear power plant to power it, what happens when we get to super AI? And it's going to need a thorium reactor to run it, or 2 thorium reactors to run it. China can't keep up with that. China's going to have to import all of that stuff while we get to all just dig it out of the ground. We win. The most important thing in the world right now is to not let China win the AI race.
When you consider what Mr. Carney just said, that Canada is not for sale, does this make the discussion a little more difficult to start on?
No.
Not at all. No, not at all.
These
No,
questions
time.
are all shit.
Time will tell. It's only time. But I say, never say never.
How come no one's asking him
Many,
about
many
his ties
things
with
that were
China?
not
What do you
doable
think about Carney's
ended up
ties
being
with China?
doable. And they've agreed already to drop it. They'll drop it to...
Maybe that's something in itself that he's talking about China so bad. I have to skim over the answer, guys. 10 freaking minutes long. Okay? I'll link the video in the description below. I'll timestamp it. You can go watch China question. Maybe he's dragging this answer out because Mark Carney's sitting there, the China mascot, talking about all of these ships are turning around in China. We're not talking about China. Look at all the investment we're bringing in. China's losing. We're winning. I think that's a big point there with his 10-minute long answer about China.
We're just not going to do it anymore.
All right, folks.
On the Houthis, can you tell us a bit more about the deal that you've reached with the Houthis that you
No, it's
mentioned?
not a deal. They've said, please don't bomb us anymore, and we're not going to attack your ships.
And where did you hear about that?
Mark Carney is sitting there from Canada, and you're going to talk about the Houthis. Again, was that orchestrated? Is this all set up to just completely shrug Mark off like he's not even there?
No, it's fine. It's there. It's good. We use it for certain things. It's there. The USMCA is a good deal for everybody. I won't say this about Mark, but I didn't like...
Okay, folks, here we go. The number 3. The number 3 point, 20 minutes in, and there is not much going on after this. This is the point of time. Donald Trump goes after Chrystia Freeland. Does Donald Trump know that Mark Carney is so close with Chrystia Freeland that he's her kid's godfather?
Like his predecessor. I didn't like a person that worked for... She was terrible, actually. She was a terrible person. And she really hurt that deal very badly because she tried to take advantage of the deal and she didn't...
You know what's really funny? I can guarantee you what Chrystia Freeland did was walk into this trade negotiations and was like, I am a woman. You will listen to me, mister. I guarantee it. Only like a lot uglier and witchier.
Get away with it. You know what I'm talking about. But, so, you know, we had a bad...
Big, strong woman to stand up to Donald Trump.
Relationship having to do with the fact that we disagreed with the way they viewed the deal. And we ended it. You know, we ended that relationship pretty much. The USMCA is great for all countries. It's good for all countries. We do have a negotiation coming up over the next year or so to adjust it or terminate it.
Mr. President,
I'll say a word on USMCA if I may, Mr. President.
Oh,
it
he's
is
gonna
a
stick his
basis for a
elbow out
broader
now.
negotiation. Some things about it are going to have to change. And part of the way you've conducted these tariffs has taken advantage of existing aspects of USMCA. So it's going to have to change. There's other elements that are come, and that's part of what we're going to discuss.
Good job, Mark. Good job, Mark. What a sharp elbow. That's about the only good part that you could say he did good. And you know what? That is freaking Pierre's stance.
Of the American vitriol. How do you react if Canada decided not to shop in the American store as much as before and decided to partner with other countries?
Well, we don't do much business with Canada from our standpoint. They do a lot of business with us. We're at like 4%, and usually those things don't last very long. You know, we have great things, great product. The kind of product we sell, nobody else can sell, including military. Look, we make the best military equipment in the world, and Canada buys our military equipment, which we appreciate, but we make the best military equipment in the world by far. The missiles, the submarines, everything we have is really top notch. I rebuilt our military during our last term. Stupidly, we gave some away to Afghanistan, which shouldn't have happened, but that was, I think it was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. It was just very incompetent people, but if you look, the man that's now the head of our Joint Chiefs, he led the attack on ISIS for me. That's why he's the head of the Joint Chiefs. And Raisin Kane, he was unbelievable. And as you know, we defeated ISIS in 3 weeks. It was supposed to take 5 years. We did it in 3 weeks. And he ran the campaign. I said, I like him. But I knew him before. I went to Iraq, and we agreed to a plan, and that was the plan. And as you know, we did it in record time. So we have the best equipment in the world. We have the best, a lot of things, but Canada, it does a lot more business with us than we do with Canada. Yeah.
God, I forgot they were fucking still talking about that question. Are you kidding me? Jesus. Good news about that, folks, by the way. Us conservatives out there got to swallow the pill right now, because I just watched a YouTube video that month over month our exports going to United States is down 6%, and our exports going to other parts of the globe, especially United Kingdom, is up extremely, like just extraordinarily. 26% increase in exports not going to United States. But guys, trade with Europe essentially has skyrocketed with we doubled our trade with England. Give me some of that freaking English cheese.
About the tariffs?
No, about the investments that you've announced. You've announced.
Oh, it's hitting right now. Look, they're already soliciting
More.
money.
Was this another 5-minute answer?
Construction parts.
Okay.
Factories, if they're going to, a lot of these companies already have factories.
Folks, we're coming up on the final 4 minutes.
They're able to build them in the United States, so we gave them a pretty substantial period of time.
Mr. President, is there anything the Prime Minister can say to you today to change your mind on tariffing Canada?
Tariffing cars?
Tariffing Canada. Is there anything he could say to you in the course of your meetings with him today that would get you to lift tariffs on Canada?
No.
Why not?
Just the way it is.
Now, this starts. Watch Mark Carney as he tries to, I don't know what he's fucking grabbing, okay? But this guy's trying to get his piece in and can't do it. This is great. And this is embarrassing for Mark Carney.
If Canadians don't want it, would you respect that?
Sure, I would. But this is not necessarily a one-day deal. This is over a period of time they have to make that decision. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. But,
4.
Well, respectfully, Canadians' view on this is not going to change on the 51st state. Secondly, we are the largest client of the United States in the totality of all the goods. So we are the largest client of the United States. we have a tremendous auto sector between the two of us, and the changes they've made have been helpful. 50% of a car that comes from Canada is American. That's not like anywhere else in the world. And to your
Integration
question
arguments
about is there one
just
thing?
furthers
No, this is a bigger
just
discussion.
furthers the Americans
There are much
wanting to
bigger
bring everything
forces
home.
involved.
That's not the right argument.
And this will take.
The argument that you tell Trump about the auto industry is that we didn't take your autos. We saved your auto industry from moving to China. That's what happened. We didn't take their stuff. And it's also not Canada's fault that we offered better rates that made car companies come to us instead of stay. Like, where was the government back in the 70s giving out subsidies to make them stay? They didn't do it.
Some time and some discussions, and that's why we're here, to have those discussions. And that's
Other than that,
is
I think Canada
represented
should
by
have its
who's,
own car.
sitting around.
I think we should just make
The
our own car
conflict
too.
is, and this is very friendly. We're not. This is not going to be like we had another little blow up with somebody else. That was a much different. This is a very friendly conversation. But we want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada, and we put tariffs on cars from Canada. And at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. And we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't
Steel
want
plants are
Canadian
crazy.
aluminum and various other things because we want to be able to do it ourselves. And we, because of past thinking of people, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. In other words, they have a surplus with us, and there's no reason for us to be subsidizing Canada. Canada's a place that will have to be able to
Carney right
take care
now
of
is like
itself
this.
economically. I assume they can. I will tell you
He's
that
like breaking his fingers off.
Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably didn't help his election. But when I spoke to him, I said, "So why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking your? We want to make them ourselves." I mean, I said, and if the price of your cars went up, or if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But
That I think is a lie. Because I looked into it myself. Okay? And the auto industry, which is primarily in Ontario, is a very small. I think it's just over 1% of Ontario's GDP. Like we can sever the auto industry. It's like cutting off the baby toe. Right? I mean, we don't like the thought of it, but if it were gone, like nothing would happen to us. It's not like losing the big toe or an arm.
no, I mean, it's hard to justify
The fact that it would kill our
subsidizing
country is
Canada to the
not
tune of maybe
not true.
$200 billion a year. We protect Canada militarily, and we always will. We're going to, that's not a money thing. But we always will. But, it's not fair. But why are we
should also allow
subsidizing
United States to
Canada
put bases in our
$200 billion
Arctic
a
as
year,
well.
or whatever the number might be? It's a very substantial number. And it's hard for the American taxpayer to say, gee whiz, we love doing that. Thank you very much. We're going to have a very
Look. Boom. Okay, so most important takeaway from that is the abrupt ending. Not giving Mark Carney a chance for a rebuttal. Okay. Somebody's going to come along one day and sell Canada to the United States. That's just all there is freaking to it. One day the world is going to get bad enough where it's going to happen. Those are the major takeaways. Okay? You need to look through at this meeting through the lens of Mark Carney is a Chinese mascot, and he's there representing China, the Canadian province of China. Okay? And it wasn't very good for him. I feel like the White House had a lot of things orchestrated, and I think Mark Carney just went through the motions. I don't. That's it. I think he just went through the motions. Was there even fighting after? I said there was fighting after earlier about China. There probably wasn't even that. Probably wasn't even that. It was probably this is how things are going to go, and if it doesn't go like this, then I'm going to destroy your country. I, you know what I mean? Trump is harsh. Trump is harsh, and he's brutal with these things. Guys, thank you very much for staying here till the end. This is a very long video. It is my longest video I've done yet. So if you made it this far, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, because I give different perspectives than other people. It's why I made a YouTube channel. Okay? You can go watch the pleb if you want. You're not going to get the same information you get from me. We're cool. Like that. He does that, I do this. I will see you guys all tomorrow with highlights from later on today, because there is going to be some important news, folks. My name's Parmesan, Niagara due north.